Welcome in Virginia Congressman and Vice Ranking Member of the House Armed Services Committee, Rob Wittman. Congressman, good morning. Good to see you. Quite a report yesterday. Wondering what you make of that and how bad things are going to get before we get to the midterm elections.
Well, Rob, it's quite a concerning report. If you look at the underlying elements of that report, it's not just the inflation rate, but it's the underlying elements of the economy that look like they're weakening, that look like it could lead us to not just these record inflation rates, but also a looming recession. All those things, I think, are tremendously concerning for businesses, for families. I know as I travel throughout the 1st Congressional District of Virginia, I've heard in many ways from families and businesses, they're concerned about where this economy is going.
Yeah, and it's interesting, you know, earlier this week, the administration is talking about building back, Build Back Better, a tamped-down version, a $1 trillion version of Build Back Better. Democratic West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin was asked about this yesterday, and he said, no, I'm a no vote on spending another $1 trillion hours after we get a 9.1% inflation report. He said no matter what spending aspirations some in Congress might have, I think he's referring to the progressive wing of the party, it's clear to anyone who visits a grocery store or a gas station that we cannot add any more fuel to this inflation fire. Who in the Democratic Party thinks that spending another $1 trillion right now is a good idea?
I can't imagine who, Rob, would believe that, because we've seen with the trillions of dollars of spending that have taken place prior to this, we know that that has added to and inflamed this inflationary cycle that we find ourselves in. Economists said that at the very beginning. In fact, the Republican side said, don't spend this amount of money because it will create this inflation cycle that we find ourselves in. I think Senator Manchin is right. Another effort to both tax and spend is the last thing this economy needs going forward.
Yeah, good point. I'm also wondering what you think about the statement from the White House yesterday. I understand Joe Biden's in Israel, but the White House put out a statement yesterday, and they got away from the whole Putin price hike thing that hasn't worked over the last 2 months. But they said that even though these numbers are unacceptably high, they don't reflect the 30-day decrease we've seen in gas prices. So they're trying to do two things here. They're trying to pivot away from the Putin price hike thing, but they're also trying to basically say that what we went through in the month of June didn't happen. They're trying to wipe June off the calendar, pretend like that didn't happen, and pretend like $4.60 a gallon is a good thing.
They're always trying to shift blame, and they will not in any way, shape, or form go back to a American energy policy. You know, from the very beginning, they've gone down the road of this anti-American energy policy, canceling the XL pipeline, stopping the development of energy in the United States, and then saying somehow that these energy increases are due to something else, which is shifting blame and not pursuing solutions that can be had right here in the United States. Go back to build the XL pipeline, develop our own energy sources. Prior to the Biden administration, we were energy independent. In fact, we were a net exporter of energy. Yeah. We're not there today.
And all the numbers enforce that. Congressman, I know that the state of Virginia has had some really tough weather recently. Your new governor there, Glenn Youngkin, declaring a state of emergency after flooding in Buchanan County. What's the latest out of, take a look at this. This is from WCYB, television station down there. What's the latest right now?
Well, we've had significant amounts of localized rainfall there that have very, very negative impacts on many of these counties. The governor's on top of it. He has his emergency response folks in these communities determining what are the needs in those communities. He's done a great job in making sure the communities are getting what they need, making sure, too, that he's keeping the National Guard on standby in case. So there's a lot of things that are needed right now for these communities to get back on their feet. We hope that there's a respite there. We've seen this cycle of storms that came in over the weekend. In some areas, localized rainfall, Rob, in areas 5 and 6 inches an hour was the rate the rain was coming down. So it's just incredible. And we know in these mountainous regions, it doesn't take many hours of that rate of rainfall to really have a negative impact on those communities.
Beautiful country, though, when the weather is nice out there in the western part of Virginia. Congressman, look forward to having you back. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks so much, Rob.
All right, coming up next year on